as to why this league is starting to explode, right? I mean, primarily you could say Caitlin Clark, but there's other aspects to this as well. Bottom line is the league is moving forward. There's money to be made. And these women are serious about it. They had labor negotiations over the weekend up until Thursday that totally stalled out. One of the big problems they're having, they want a percentage, right? This is all according to the ESPN article I read, which, by the way, ESPN is a great place to get your WNBA news because it's not skewed either way, really. But as these TV contracts, right, and the revenue begins to evolve and swell around the WNBA, what the players want is they want a growing percentage of the revenue, not just like, okay, we're locked in at this percentage, right? Like, no, we want a percentage that will grow with the money that the league is making, which is very fair. But all the players had the shirts on pregame, and I thought that was like pretty cool. I'm not like, okay, whatever. But then Kelsey Plum, before the or after the game, made a comment that said, yeah, you know, the t-shirts were great, but nobody on Team Clark was really there when we made the decision to wear the shirts. And Sabrina Ionescu, who was next to her during this press availability, was kind of like, oh boy, like, I can't believe you just said that. And they kind of joked about it. And I can't tell like whether it's an inside joke, but it seems like by all reports, like Kelsey Plum and Caitlin Clark, like maybe aren't the best of friends. And like, that was such a JV comment by Kelsey Plum either way, because even if it's a joke between her and Caitlin Clark, right, and somebody else, like even if it's an inside joke, like the league's in such an inflammatory place that like all you do is take steps backwards by making a wise ass comment like that. And if you really don't like Caitlin Clark, I can promise you the reason Caitlin Clark wasn't there for your meeting, your pregame meeting, is because the WNBA All-Star game was in Indianapolis, right? And she was probably, I mean, I can't even imagine what her calendar looked like, especially because she wasn't playing. They probably had her everywhere. And because Caitlin Clark is such a willing participant, right, and someone who wants to stand out and be an advocate for the league, she was probably willing to do whatever they needed her to do. Because, as I've said before, calling an ESPN game at Iowa with Caitlin Clark in the stands, we tried to get her to come over and join us for an interview. They said no, because Caitlin Clark didn't want to take away from what the men had accomplished and what was going on, right? It was a men's game, an Iowa game versus Kansas State. But like, this was an opportunity for her to float around and promote the WNBA all weekend long. So of course she's going to do that. So I'm sorry, Kelsey Plum, if she missed a conference or a little gathering where you guys decided to wear the t-shirts. She didn't block it with her body. She was there in support on the court wearing a t-shirt. So I'm hoping that whole scenario is just like, you know, a wise ass remark. I hope it's not real. If it's real, that's frustrating and it's annoying because I love Kelsey Plum. Love her game. I love a scorer. And she seems like a funny, cool girl. But yeah, you know, we don't want to get too deep into analyzing all this stuff. But I found to be a little frustrating because I thought the context and everything about the labor negotiations and then pushing for more is totally in line with how this thing goes. I mean, again, that book, The Big Game, I just finished reading by Michael McCambridge. I finished listening to it. I didn't read it. That's a lie. But, you know, every single league that goes through these periods where the players are grossly undervalued, you have these negotiations that get ugly. And a lot of times, a sticking point is our revenue going to move with the leagues, right? If the league continues to bring in more money, will our share continue to grow, right? We don't want to get locked in, right? We don't want to get boxed in, especially because they know the potential of the league. And I think Caitlin Clark's team lost the All-Star game, but I really didn't care about that. I didn't see it because Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. Unfortunately, I can be that kind of fan sometimes. I was also very busy. The Pete Souza Show rolls on. We're coming back with Matt Mosley. By the way, the Cowboys training camp, they're there today. It starts tomorrow. Jerry Jones talks today. Matt Mosley, he talks next. The Pete Souza Show presented by the Slovakics. We're at home. By the way, I wanted to wear this today. This is signed by Steve Smith, dude, right? This is for when I work with the Bobcats. Come on, man. You know when you go home and you find all this stuff? Yeah, Steve Smith. Come on, one more time. Yeah, this is when I worked for the Bobcats and doing PR for them. I was supposed to drive Steve to Atlanta once so he could pick up a car during the All-Star break in 2004, but he didn't need my help, and thank God, because I'm a terrible driver. All right, we'll be back after this short break.